Life has many ways of testing a person's will, either by having nothing happen at all or by having everything happen all at once.
18 and all the emergency vehicles running.
Jo was scheduled for a cruise out of Galveston that had to be rescheduled. She used her vacation time to serve her community by assisting and feeding lunch for 100 people in a nearby hotel where evacuees were staying. She also put together welcome kits for people in area shelters. In the lobby of the hotel where she served lunch, she took what she calls her library on the go to share with people. She found many of the early teenage girls enjoyed the journals to keep the diary of their time in Austin as an evacuee. Who knows, we may see a movie someday based on one of those diaries. Despite being assured by the city that everything would be okay, every neighborhood around her was ruined. Her in-laws' home was completely flooded. Ashley couldn't just sit around, so she set up making casserole dinners for first responders at a nearby hotel. She served 3 meals a day for 2 weeks and continues to support volunteer fire departments by taking them meals. She even recruited her 2-year-old and husband to help. Gail was visiting her significant other in the Florida Keys when Irma hit. Gail typically lives in Kansas, so it was quite the experience. They evacuated on Wednesday before the storm hit to north central Florida. Due to the lack of gas and heavy traffic, it took them an additional 4 hours to make the trip. Gail said the worst part was having to wait 5 days to go back, all the while wondering what you may find when you get there. They lost trees, tree limbs, and electricity in north central Florida. Gail used her phone as a hotspot to work until she could finally fly back home to Kansas. They had 5 feet of water in their Florida Keys home, and there is still stuff sitting on the curb waiting to be picked up. A hot tub from 7 houses down was in their backyard from the flooding. Margaret moved to Florida on August 31st before Irma made landfall on September 10th. Margaret and her family went to Florida Gulf Coast University to take shelter. Like a true community health nurse, Margaret immediately began assessing the people and situation around her. She worked directly with volunteers to develop a triage plan to assure medical needs of people were met and what some may call the Pierce Potty Protocol to assure the 221 pets housed with the 1,403 people were pottied in a hygienic method. Margaret learned a lot in a short amount of time, and there is no doubt that her community health nursing students will benefit from Margaret's experience in Hurricane Irma. Margaret even worked from the shelter as a way to keep her mind busy. The coping mechanism of distraction. Kendra, like many, had her yard transformed from a beautiful tropical oasis to more of a jungle. She also had a tree fall on her car, so while waiting for electricity and internet to be restored, she worked from a remote location and shopped for a new car in what spare time she could find. Fortunately, Amy didn't endure any losses from the storm. She had Monday appointments that had to be rescheduled, but experienced how understanding students were. Looking back, she would allow herself to take a day to make those needed preparations of getting gas, water, food, ice, and batteries. These are just a few pictures from her area. Angela is a mentor in C820 and had 3 live cohorts to teach the day she lost power for 16 hours. Fortunately, her power came back on just in time, but it was the actions of her team that impressed her so greatly. They jumped in without any hesitation to cover her cohort sessions just in case. She said thanks to her team, there was more than enough coverage if it had been needed. And these are a few pictures from the Atlanta area. While we've shared a few stories of our WGU faculty that have been impacted by Hurricanes Harvey and Irma, let's not forget that there are other things going on and affecting many other states in our country, from wildfires to other hurricanes. We do have other faculty members that are impacted. Let's continue to offer each other the same amazing support that we offer our students, because we are WGU.